Howdy, and welcome in, everybody. If I look tired, I am. I had a long couple of days, and I have missed all of you so much. I looked over my content, and I wondered why, my view count was a little bit down, and my sub count was a little bit down. And I'm not in any sort of race, but I really had my heart set on 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think I'm going to get there with your help. So if you could do me a favor, and please subscribe if you're not, because YouTube sent me a thing, and 47% of my, quote, normal viewers, or my usual viewers, are not subscribed. So I could really use your help to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So on to why we're doing this video. I looked over my videos and I thought, I've got to get back to my roots. I have got to get back to my comfort zone of talking about the history of jewelry, different time periods, materials, and gemstones, certain gemstones, and doing specific videos on those because you all love them so much, and I'm so grateful that you do. I decided to go camera up because I have missed, kind of showing everyone, my new backgrounds and kind of things that I'm doing. I am in the second storage facility, and it's looking awfully beautiful for the holidays. So I kind of redid a couple things, and I'm back into working on that to do some future videos from here to show you some of the collections. I'm really well known for decorative arts and antiques and general line things, whether it be two-dimensional art, paintings, and also sculptures and art class. So I welcome you all in. I didn't write anything down, normally have like a couple little notes that I go off of, and today was full transparency of, I don't care, I'm just gonna do what I want. So thank you so much. I guess today's video is gonna be kind of like, I don't really necessarily wanna say a haul video, and yes, it's raining here. There's rain all over everything today, and so I needed this. I needed time with all of you, and I needed sunshine in my life. So here we are. I think what I'll do is I'll go over to the light box because I want you to get closer looks at these things. And when people have questioned me about the things that I kept that I considered important, I want to show you those things. I just don't want to talk about them. So thank you all so much. And please hit the subscribe button. Please, I ask you, I beg you to hit the subscribe button for me. It's not a popularity contest, but YouTube is very finicky about subscribers and numbers and pushing videos out. So my videos would get greater exposure. If you could just help me out, that'd be great. I would greatly appreciate it. And I do want to say the estate sale that I just had now when I aired this, probably 2 weeks ago. The estate sale went amazing. The customers were fantastic, and I did meet a lot of my viewers in real life. So anyways, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to take you over to the light box, and thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate all of you so much. So thank you. Hold on. Be right back with you. Mwah. Oh, so I know what you're thinking. What are we going to look at today? And I'm going to tell you, I have no idea. I actually went into a box that I've had set aside for a long time. I haven't seen these items for, I don't know, maybe 20 years. It'll show kind of the evolution of me as a collector and also a reseller at the same time. And I'm really glad, and full transparency, that I paused you when I did, because I got a phone call from someone to do a consignment. And, I will be fully transparent and say a lot of consignments don't interest me because I have to be in love with the items I'm selling to promote them in the best way possible. So I do pass on some consignments just based on uniqueness or sellability or my client base. Let me say that. And it's okay to tell someone, I can't assist you, but somebody else probably could do it better, So I've always done that, and that's when I've excelled in this business because of my honesty. But I am going to go take a look at this consignment here in about an hour and a half. Let's see here. Yeah, about an hour and a half. So I don't have long, and that just happened. So otherwise I would re-record this video, and I thought, no, I'm going to get through this. This is Stanley Hagler, and this came to me me several years ago. And this is Hagler, and Stanley Hagler's work. It is exceptional for costume. Just the layers upon layers of these beaded rosettes and flowers with these beautiful leaves and multiple layers. Just the most beautiful rhinestones and faux pearls and glass, and the beads are absolutely gorgeous. I've worn this a few times. There are two stones out of the clasp, and that's okay. And when you look at these things, someone else would say, is that DeMario? Is that Miriam Haskell? The answer is no. And the reason for that is I knew that this was Hagler upon seeing it based on size and quality, very reminiscent of Miriam Haskell's work. But what the luxury was, this one's not signed. This is not signed. And I still would have known that this was Hagler just from my personal experience. And that's what happens over, 28 years of being in the business. Why I know it's Hagler, and I'm 100% sure of that, is the matching earrings. And here are these exceptionally large, and just look at the lush quality of those cabochon glass stones. Are they poured glass? I can't see the back of them, so they might just be cabochon glass. But those faux pearls and these electric lime green seed beads, the craft of these things totally transcends just costume jewelry. When someone says, well, that's just costume, I say, well, then you just make it. You just make it. So this is just pure goodness. And I will struggle for words today, and I'm probably going to a lot. That's based on the fact that my brain is just really tired out. You can see that the earrings weren't worn because there's the original string tag from when this set was priced back in the day. And I don't really want to talk much about what I paid for some of these things back in the day. Some were very, very affordable. And then when I go to sell them, I just don't want to explain my pricing structure of how I've always done my business. I will give someone a great buy on this set, and it has gone up in value since I bought it. And I don't know, I was a forward-thinking buyer. Let me get the dust out of the box. Let me get that out of there. So yeah, I was a forward-thinking buyer. Did I do things better than everyone? No, I've just always said I've done it differently. This amber brooch and pendant, I think this is a pendant as well. It is. This is amber, and I've always been seduced by amber, especially when it gets large and has a lot of internal inclusions or things going on inside of the amber itself. Wonderful, wonderful undulation of that, not only stone, but that bezel. The craft on things, look at the craft. Slow down. Don't take someone else's word for, oh, this is great because of this. Look at the way things are crafted. If that bezel follows the undulation of this stone, know that an artist labored over this piece. This is a pin, so you can wear it like that, or it's a pendant so you can hang it like that. Look how dynamic that is for a pendant. That large kind of whiplash scroll or line. Look at the curves and the sensuality of this piece. That spoke volumes to me that I had to have this. I stashed this for I've had this one for maybe 16 or 17 years. I think I bought this for it was either $20 or $24. So I will tell you some prices. And now I wouldn't sell it for less than like $185. And it would sell, that would go. It would find a new home at that. Oh, this pendant's been sitting on my desk forever. Let's see. Let me show you this one because it's been sitting on my desk. That's Ohio Flint. And I loved everything about this. I loved the chain. I love the fact that it was so lovingly hand-constructed, artist-signed, Ohio Flint and sterling silver. Wonderful design. Very Navajo, very Native American. I don't know if that could be a little dot of gold there. Maybe that's gold-filled. I didn't test it because I didn't care what the metal was. I love that little touch of that because look how it plays with the color of the stone. Look at the way things are designed. Think about the way that this artist had to rope twist this border and then have a serrated bezel behind that to hold this absolutely gorgeous piece of Ohio Flint. I've loved this pendant for a long time. And when I get things like that I can't get the same thing, that's when I step up to the plate. That's when I say, I have to have it. Let's see what else I have in the box. Let's move some of these babies over. And I thank you all so much for joining in. I'm not really prepared for this today, but I wanted to get a video out there for content of what I looked for, back in the day when I was buying. A lot of people do a lot of shows on contemporary finds of what they're finding nowadays, and I wanted to show some of the things that I've had for a very long time. I believe this is Miguel Melendez, and I could be wrong on that. I'm just going on memory. The Eagle essay mark, a lot of people get into this specific thing on Mexican silver, and this is better than that because this doesn't have an eagle, and this is better than that because it's almost insanity at a certain point. Sterling silver, absolutely beautifully crafted. I bought things based on design, and when I saw this sun face with that crushed up, almost azure malachite stone inlay, I said to myself, this is an iconic piece of Mexican silver. This is absolutely, it's absolutely gorgeous is what it is. And I loved that original oxidation. Unfortunately, so many people run for the polishing cloth and ruin something that looks this authentic and gorgeous and old. I would say date on this would be late 60s on this one, but pre-1970, I would say pre-1975 on this specific edition. You will see these that are later, but look at that beautiful Mexican chain, still, fully hallmarked by the artist. How many times do you find the original Mexican pendant with the original Mexican chain? Not very often these days. So that was a key. Oops, as I drop my nail polish on the floor, that's not a good thing to do. So yeah, and you should see this desk. If you saw my desk I'm working off of, you would all be laughing so hard because I am proudly a maximalist. People have said to me, is it healthy to be a maximalist? I said, as long as I'm not doing drugs and gambling, it's most certainly okay. If I spend my money on items and investments, absolutely that's okay. So there is an amazing, amazing Native American piece. And, I'm slightly into the tourist trade, newer findings that could have been resoldered over time. But I loved that simplistic nature of this. Clearly Navajo, hand stamped and beautiful. This was $2. And for $2, I would wear this proudly until I'd get, I'm going to be staunch on this one and say 185 to like 225 based on size, oxidation, and age. But that is a beautiful concho. Just absolutely exceptional. I love that. That one, I think I've had that one for 20 plus years. Niger Brothers glass and Czechoslovakian glass. Again, I always say Gablans because that's technically what it is. We've been over that in a previous video, and I don't want to repeat myself. These I've never shown on my channel. These are just some of the best scarab glass beads I've ever seen, and definitely Egyptian revival, late 1920s into the 1930s. Clearly Niger Brothers, absolutely. Would you say Gablans in construction or origin? I would say most certainly yes. But look at that. It's like jadeite glass that mimics jadeite or chrysoprase, whatever you want to call that style of glass that mimics stone, but that faux carving on the scarabs, and look how great they are. Look for these because you can still find these very affordable. This strand was like $8, and I think now online for this color and that length, I would say would be, oh boy, that's a tough one. $195 to $2 something. I don't know, $225. If you wanted to be really aggressive, $250 to $300. I don't think it would sell for that. These I was originally going to list, and you could see my writing from a long time ago. I was going to list these on eBay for $125, and then I just kind of said to myself, no, I think I'm going to stash those for a while. I mean, that writing has been on this bag. That's my old school way of identifying what I had, and then when I would go to eBay list, it made it very easy to take photos of this. And that was back in the day of, I've mentioned it before, my Sony Mavica camera camera. It was one of my one of my best friends for a long time. I had a Sony Mavica, and I would, floppy disk camera. And why did they call it a floppy disk when it was harder than a brick? But it was that square, disk that you would put in the camera, take your pictures, take that out, and put it into, your computer, your huge tower computer. But that's, when I had my office efficiency off of Merriman Road, that's what I used, to take my photos. Anyways, I don't want to get sidetracked, but eBay has been a long-standing way of me selling, and that's what really pushed my business to get me where I'm at today, and I worked long hours. I would work at the veterinary clinic from like 8 in the morning until noon. I would split my shift. I would go out to the antique mall in Ravenna, and I would work there for, another 3 hours. Then I'd go back to the veterinary clinic around 4 o'clock. I would feed and medicate the dogs for the evening. Then I'd come home around 6. I would take care of my own dog at the time, who was Onyx. And then I would go to my office with him. I would take him to my office efficiency, and I would work from right around, probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock until 1, 2, or 3 in the morning. And then I would get up and do it all over again the next day. Talk about no sleep. I did not sleep and that was 6 years of my life. So yes, anyways, these are exceptional for Scarab, and I love that kind of over dye. Look at that for original. That color play of that purple and green. I would have been really upset if I would have sold those back in the day, and I was only going to ask $125. That's back in the day when they were worth $125. Now these in this color and that length, boy, you could say you could name your own price. You really could. And they were always tied like that. I've never seen a strand that I guess wasn't tied in that manner. But yeah, those are Niger. Sorry to take a little bit of time on those, but well, I shouldn't say I'm sorry. I should say if you didn't like the delay there, I regret that. So this is a Victorian dirk dagger. This has been with me a long time. I picked this off of a board at Goodwill. All the jewelry was $1.99, and I think why they didn't recognize this is it just didn't read as it didn't read as important. It's small in scale. It is very oxidized. Look at that for a dirk dagger brooch. That is Scottish. It is, well, let me see if this one's Scottish. Some of these actually were produced in England. Let me make sure I'm telling you correctly. This one's probably Scottish, though. Let me see if there's any hallmark on there. It's just marked sterling silver. I believe this one is definitely, to me, this is Scottish. Yeah, I would say Scotland on this one. There had been a few that were made in England, so just be careful on that. But you can see that these pieces are kind of force fit, and then sometimes a beeswax or cement is used to hold them in from behind. But look at that, how they encased that red stone in silver. And that's just great with that little hilt, kind of handle, if you will, and then that partial scabbard here. Really incredible for a dirk dagger. Look for those, because those you can find for very affordable. But yeah, back in the day, I would have sold that for like $165. So you could see the increase. You could see the way I increased, what do I say? My buying power, I guess? Is that such a thing? This is terracotta. Never figured out the origin on this. And again, I just didn't care. It didn't matter to me. That expression and that face in terracotta pottery, definitely a shard or a part of something. You can see the early hallmark here on the top ring. This came out of Ruth Birdsall's collection, and she was an antique dealer in the area for a long time, and she was known for some of the most unusual in decorative arts, and she dealt in jewelry occasionally, but that came from her personal collection that she had stashed. And I will tell you, if you ever have an opportunity, and maybe this is a small little learning moment, if you ever have an opportunity to go to an auction or an estate sale of an antique dealer, please do so. They usually keep some of the more important or things that weren't identified, and therefore could be very important. And maybe they're not. Maybe they just kept things they really liked, but it would be some of the more unusual pieces that an antique dealer would kind of stash away and keep until until a later time when they could find out what something is. I do that all the time. So I always told people, boy, my estate sale is going to be something else. So this one is solid 14 karat gold and sterling silver and onyx. Again, I was going to sell this one, and I don't know what happened. I came home and I said it fit. And it's a little tight now because, obviously I've gotten bigger over the years. But there was something about that I said, yes, I'm gonna stash that away, and I'm gonna keep that, and I'm gonna make sure that that's something that I'll do some research on. And that big chunk of 14 karat gold really was magnificent. It is signed on in here somewhere. And I don't remember the maker, but again, I don't do contemporary, and I just didn't really care who it was. Is it Ehrman? Is it this? Is it that? Is it Samuel B? I don't know, and it didn't matter to me because I just thought the design was so great, and I loved it very much, and I still do. I don't wear yellow gold and silver together, and I don't ever wear yellow gold, period. I just usually don't do that. This I bought at an international gem show, and this was a really famous designer back when. I forget the guy's name. I'm drawing a blank on it, but this was very affordable. There was like trays and trays and trays of these. Sterling silver, rhodium plated, onyx, and then an inset cubic zirconia. But doesn't that look like one of the most expensive rings you've ever seen? Like, if you had that on, doesn't it look exactly like, real diamonds? To me it did. Look at that. And I think this was $28, and this is, well, let's not talk about it, but that was like, I don't know how to explain this, but I was seduced by things that looked real, that mimicked real, that were finely crafted, needed to be finely crafted. This one I stashed for a long time because look at this turquoise and tell me that you wouldn't keep that. I could just hear people going, no, I would keep that, and that's why I did. Look at the size of that stone, and I loved the inclusions and the matrix. That's like clear crystal quartz formations within that turquoise that stayed in there in that stone. Probably some pyrite as well in that one corner. Look at that. Isn't that just exquisite? Clearly Navajo. I would say on this one, the way it's constructed, late 40s into the 50s. The way the stone is finished and that kind of matte finish, that doesn't just happen, from the 60s on. At least I haven't seen it. And look how that's starting to oxidize. There's just something very magnificent and magical about Native American jewelry. And I guess why I show that is that's been with me for 26 or 27 years. I kept this one based on design. And I show you these things so you can kind of see how my collection evolved over time, and why I stashed some of the pieces I did. This isn't signed. I don't know who did it. I just know that when I see something important that speaks to me, this spoke to me. I did lose this brooch. I lost this at the post office. And I guess why, in my youth, it wasn't cool not to fit in. It wasn't cool to stick out. And now in my adulthood, it's amazing to stick out because it's amazing not to blend in. Because when I went back to where, I didn't know where I had lost it. It fell off my coat. And I lost it at the post office. And I don't lose jewelry. I was beside myself because I couldn't find this anywhere. Checked my car, checked my office, checked my house. Couldn't find it anywhere. Went back to the post office and the clerk, just handed it over the desk and she goes, I think you lost this the other day. And I just looked at her like, how did you know it was mine? And she laughed and she goes, like I wouldn't know. So it was amazing that, it's great not to stick out now. That's what I'll say. And, some people have questioned me, like when I go to buy, they go, do you dress down? Do you kind of try to blend in and not use your loop? And, do you try and blend in so people don't know that you know what you're doing? And I said, at this point, I can't blend in anywhere I go. I'd have to rearrange my DNA. It's not going to happen. So now I use it as a badge of honor. And a lot of people will stop me and say, hey, jewelry guy, they may not know my name, but they'll say jewelry guy. And then I'll go over and get some great buys from them. So it's an amazing thing to be notable and to let people know that you are a consumer, a collector, and also a reseller. It's okay that people know that you resell. One stone is a little yellow on this, but this is Trifari, and it is Alfred Philippe. When people throw that around, how crazy I go, because it bothers me, because everything these days praises Alfred Philippe, like everything. You know, Alfred Philippe this, Alfred Philippe that. It's just nuts. It's absolutely crazy. This is Alfred Philippe, signed Trifari here, patent pending down here. It is rhodium plated pot metal. Look at how beautiful that enameling is. That little tiny touch of enamel that really sets off that kind of double cattail design. Love that freeform squiggle that runs through. The energy of these brooches and the quality. These were made to look like fine jewelry. These were made to mimic platinum and diamond and sapphire. You know, these were made to look like mogul jewels. And so that one, that's great. I think I bought that back in the day for either $5 or $10. And I think now $175 or $195 would be my guess. So I was never afraid back then to take the chance on things. And then, like I said, I stashed them so that now I can sell it for, you know, a substantial amount more. I kind of always thought about the things that I saw that were up and coming. And I will do some videos on some of the ideas that I have of how I can help people with buying, nowadays, like what I look for and what I kind of put back for later. This is a citrine, and I never figured out the stones around it. They're not diamonds. This is made to look like extremely fine jewelry. Look at that citrine, though. This was $10 because nothing is signed. This is not signed. The chain is not signed. It did test as sterling silver, a very rich rhodium plating on the silver, but nothing was marked. Look at the color zoning in that stone. Now that I flip it over, I've had people question me about color zoning. Look how pale this side of the citrine is, and see how saturated those color zones are. That's very apparent in the stone. Look at that. You can see that color zoning. See how there's zones of color. That's how you can tell that a gemstone is natural in this specific gemstone. You know, don't go that with all stones, but in most natural stones, you'll see a strong color zoning. And if you don't see that, that's when you need to be a little bit more concerned, do some further testing. But as you know, I don't use any sort of testing equipment, and I don't have a magic wand. It's just, from experience. That one was, I think that was maybe 10. I'm trying to think of these things. This has been with me a very long time. And I used to wear that one. When I bought something for little money, I enjoyed it for a while. And sometimes people would see it on me and they would say, "Hey, are you going to sell that? Look how I've ignored all these diamond pieces down here." And an arts and crafts beauty that I just picked up not too long ago. But, I do have a lot of onyx fur in these things. Because, again, this is when I had my onyx, my black lab. This is extraordinary. I bought this from Marcia Sweet in Burton, Ohio, when I was, let me think here, I think I was 19. So that was, boy, this is tough math. I was 19 and I'm 50 right now. So, this has been with me a long time, and I would wear this. I wore this frequently, and I loved those amethyst crystals, four-pointed, and then those bezel set, channel set turquoise. And I loved the variation in the turquoise colors. It made me so incredibly happy. Fully signed, Mexican. I don't know what to say about it besides it was with me in good times and bad. So this carries a lot of very powerful energy. And if I ever do go to get rid of this, I will be giving this to my mother. I would never in a million years sell this. I wouldn't do it. I won't sell it. It's never for sale. And there's certain pieces in my collection that when I think back of when I wore some of these pieces and some of the quiet times that I've had, some of the times of great reflection in my life, I look at these and I'm very much so reignited, and my passion comes back, and I don't think I'll ever not do this. This one was unsigned. I don't think that there was, oh wait, maybe they missed the mark. Hold on. This one is the one that was signed. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people don't know that there's 9 carat. So when you see a 9 CT, they're like, what is that? So this is 9 carat gold, and that is a genuine lavalier, turn of the century, right around 1900. Very strong 1900, looks very Austrian, I would say Austria on this one, or German. because this is not an American design for whether you say arts and crafts or Art Nouveau. You know, we can really kind of battle over those terms, but they're interchangeable on things like this that are clearly not one or the other. Look at that original chain that it's on. I am such a avid collector of antique chains, and I'll do a video on my antique chain collection, both in gold and silver. But look at that with that beautiful bezel set drop and that gorgeous amethyst. Very, very delicate, very beautiful, but completely hand fabricated. See how that's fabricated? Nothing is cast, meaning it's not carved out of wax. And this is all constructed. Little panels of gold, soldered to tendrils, soldered to lines. Look at the solder seams on this. You know, and I'm not afraid to get up close on these things for you. And that's why I come to the light box. So you can see that detail. You can see the hallmarks. Look at the oxidation on the surface as well. That's an important thing to learn from, is to say, now I see the solder seams. Look at that almost moon profile on both sides. I've never noticed that before. So when I slow down, I see things that I hadn't seen before. I love that. Very inexpensive back in the day. Extremely inexpensive, and desirable today because we're not seeing very many of them. I'm going to skip over a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm just going to skip over like a ton of stuff. This has been with me a long time, and because this was oxidized, they didn't think that this was gold. Look at that stone. Are you kidding me? I sure hope you're still here with me. 30 minutes in and some people may have tapped out. If you did, nah, look what you missed. So stick with me because I still have quite a bit to show. I do need to get off here at some point. I think that's the gold hallmark. Let me look. See again. Yep, that's it. MD14K. And, someone would say, well, that's not 14 karat because that, look, the hallmark, you know how I always say if the hallmarks don't look right, don't buy it. Look how the 1 and the 4 don't match up. See how that 4 is crooked? I would normally say to you, don't do it because the 1 and the 4 don't line up. Guess what? This was an artist-made thing. They probably only had a 1 and a 4 and a K. 1, 4, and a K. They didn't have a 14 karat stamp all complete. Normally, I would say, don't buy that. That's fake. Normally I would say, don't do it. My suggestion would be, don't do it. Look at the way that's soldered. And I did test this when I got it home. Solid 14 karat gold. And gigantic. Look at the size of that mounting. I think I got it for was it $10 or $15? Maybe it was $18. I didn't have a lot of money back in the day, and some days I still don't. So, I was very frugal when I would buy things, and this was in a tray of costume, and I think they just assumed, well, it's costume because the stone's too big, and that there's no way that, tarnished mounting is gold. Yeah, absolutely, 100% oxidized, just like real gold. But yeah, that's solid 14 karat, absolutely. And you know what I'll do? I'll do a scratch test on this on a live feed, and I'll show you how I sometimes test for gold. But look at that stone. And that's synthetic. That stone is not an amethyst. I know you're thinking, boy, that's a beautiful Siberian amethyst. No, that one's a synthetic. And they frequently set synthetics in solid 14 karat gold. You should see how much more I have to go in this box. I could go on for an hour. No, I could probably go on for 2 more hours now that I'm looking at the box. The reason why I kept this one, first of all, the amber is magnificent. Hold on, I'm going to take a drink. No, I'm just going to do it on live. Hold on, my mouth is so dried out. Coffee is scrumptious. I was going to pause you, but I'm sure you didn't mind me gulping my coffee. So this is egg yolk, and I guess I would call it just translucent. So egg yolk amber here into this beautiful orange. You normally don't get both colors in one stone. This color combination and the stone itself resonated with me, and I said, yes, I'm keeping it. Then I looked at the mounting. Look at what an artist did. So an artist did not know necessarily how to solder a bezel, right? So this artist got a flat sheet of silver and cut with scissors or cut with tin snips, cut kind of a fringe style pattern, right? That's what they did. They then carefully made these gorgeous, graceful tendrils all over it, right? Then they folded them over the stone. That is